Welcome back to Fujitsu Tour London 2018, where we're continuing to bring you insight by vertical. For example, if you wanted to know what's happening in manufacturing right now and the very questions you should be having at board level, all you need to do is go and find our manufacturing Facebook Live video, and hopefully we're going to deliver you with some insight. Up next, we are talking transport. And with me, we've got guests from London Heathrow and TfL. We're joined by David Elliott from Heathrow, Simon Reed from TfL, and a man who needs no introduction, Russell Goodenough from Fujitsu. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us. Simon, we'll start with you. Both TfL and David Heathrow, you've gone through tremendous change in the last few years from a technology standpoint, but I guess demand from customers and consumers, we've barely scratched the surface. There's more to come, isn't there?
Yeah, I think there is. I think that's right. It's not just demand in terms of increased numbers, increased passenger journeys, but passengers' expectations have really changed over the last few years and will continue to do so. Seamless, frictionless travel is just expected now, and the rise of the information society over the last 5 years has completely changed the environment that transport operates in.
Let's talk Heathrow. I remember going through the airport 10 years ago. I walked through it last 2 weeks ago. Unrecognisable beast, and technology is at the heart of that change that you've brought about, right?
It absolutely is, yes, that's right. It's all about, really, as Simon said, it's that seamless travel. So things like from the moment you step out of your car, when you travel through and you check in using technology, you go through to the gate and you go through the gate using technology, all of that. What we're trying to do is to make technology an easy flow which takes away the stress of going through an airport. Years ago, it was a really challenging place to go through. Today, we want you to go through relaxed and actually enjoy the experience. It makes such a difference if you go through and feel, that was nice, as opposed to, what a stressful time I had there. I lost my bag, I didn't know what was going on at security. That's not what we're trying to entice our passengers to use Heathrow for.
You mentioned it, Simon, the demand for information, the appetite for information now. I can imagine TfL, you probably see that more than most companies in transport. If something goes awry, we want to know what's happening instantly. That's got to place huge demand on the business to keep evolving the systems to actually deliver what customers need.
I think strategically we made the decision many years ago to follow an open data route. So it's not just about coming to the TfL website to find out what's going on, or an app or something similar. Customers want the data where they happen to be at the time they want to consume it. And yes, we've still got traditional information signs telling you what's happening, but all our data is syndicated, and we allow passengers, or we've encouraged developers to put our data in front of people wherever they are. So whether that's using a specialist app, whether it's plugged into a website or a streaming service or at the bottom of the TV screen that they're looking at, all we do is make sure that the data goes out there, because it's sort of like the theme of this conference is about co-cooperation, and by doing it that way, there are people better placed out there to deal with that relationship direct with the passenger than perhaps we are alone. And again, it goes back to that point that you're getting about your business, you're doing what you want to do, and yet you've got the information on your fingertips about what is actually happening in our service. So what we do is try and get that data right, make sure it's correct, make sure that people can access it, and leave the rest up to the specialists who get it in front of our customer base.
Russell, when we spoke at Fujitsu Forum last year, we spoke about a point not too far in the future, having an app perhaps that got us from destination A to B across a whole variety of transport routes. If we've got collaborative working and data's being shared, it sounds like we're increasingly moving towards that realisation coming true.
Yes, I think, and Simon makes a very good point, that sort of vision of the future of a much more integrated transport network, a much more intelligent way of moving from A to B, irrespective of what mode of travel you're consuming, it's definitely happening right now. But that digitisation isn't coming about because there are big monolithic systems making it happen. We're managing to capture innovation from sometimes unexpected sources by organisations like TfL and Heathrow, freeing up their data and allowing the innovators to innovate and come forward with differentiated and different consumer products. And it's that combination of innovation and the kind of investment that happens from the big organisations that deliver transport services that's delivering a transformation away from kind of different modes of transport to a wider concept of mobility. Yeah.
Some of the interviews we've been conducting earlier, there's been a theme, David, that's come out of it. Boardrooms not necessarily aligned to technology, some departments holding on to roles and responsibility. But at Heathrow, you've managed to break down a number of these barriers, haven't you? You're empowering people to actually go and innovate.
Absolutely. One of the key tenets of our digital technology approach is to allow the people in our business and our operations to use the tools, to use the data that they've got access to in order to solve their business problems. I don't know how to turn around an aircraft. I don't know how to run a security system. What I do know is that the right people with the right technology can take their problems and solve them a lot quicker and a lot more efficiently than I can. All I need to make sure is that that data is safe, secure and accurate, and there's also some resilience if it's not available for any point. And as long as we've got those 4 key tenets all agreed, then what they do with the data is down to them to solve their problems. And it works so well. It's working, it's really transforming the way we are doing our business on a daily basis.
I'm fascinated by your commitment. 60% of passengers by 2040 arriving via public transport. I've got that right, haven't I?
I believe that's the statistic. It's all around making sure that we, again, linking back into Simon and using technology, we want people to come to the airport in a more sustainable way. So be that on TfL, be that using the train lines, however that may be. Possibly, you never know, automated transport. It's all about having clean transport, getting them there efficiently and in a way that, again, going back to what I said earlier, they feel that their holiday or their journey starts from the moment they step out of the door. They don't have to worry about car parking. They don't have to think, where have I left my car when they get back to Heathrow later. All of that worry and stress is taken away from them.
Simon, let's talk future demand. What do you think we're going to have to deliver for the customer over the coming years? Where are we headed?
I think there's quite significant changes coming. I mean, we are an executive agency of the mayor, the elected mayor, and the mayor has set out his policies on what he wants to see happen, and we're there to make that happen. So we're looking at over 60% of our people, over 80% of our journeys being in sustainable modes in the same timeline by 2040. So as well as the connectivity out to Heathrow, we're looking to change the way that people travel within London. Now, if you think this is going to be a speech about autonomous vehicles or things, I couldn't fill in the gaps between where we are now and how that will be delivered. But what we are sure about is it's going to be very people-centric. It's going to be very much about cycling, walking, and all of those modes, as well as public transport, delivering that aim. Which percentage, in which of them, by what time? Couldn't tell you. I think that'll be a surprise and a fascinating journey for us all to follow over the years ahead.
David, while we got you here, 3rd runway at Heathrow, it seems to be headed our way. This is going to place some challenges urbanly, correct? I mean, how are you equipped to meet those challenges?
So again, what we're really concentrating on is getting the best experience for passengers. We have to be very mindful of the environment. We have to be very mindful of the people in the local area. A large percentage of people who work at Heathrow live in the local area, so it impacts these very people who work at the airport. So we are taking that challenge and working with our communities, looking at how we can improve their lives, how we can improve the way they access the airport, and making sure that we pull together the way you get to the airport, the way you travel, much more green aircraft, green travel experience, and really trying to make sure that the impact of a 3rd runway is as minimal as possible. And actually, it's a cleaner environment. There's a lot less noise around because the air traffic is quieter than it ever has been before. That's the principles we're working to.
Russell, we've obviously got 2 gentlemen here who are on the front foot with their digital transformation initiatives, but I guess there would be businesses within the transport sector who aren't as advanced with their initiatives. I mean, what are the challenges that some companies are coming up against in not delivering new technology and change? Are there common barriers and problems?
I think there probably are. One observation would be that probably for a variety of reasons, the transport sector is a little bit behind other industries that Fujitsu works with in really coming to grips with digitisation and delivering rapid digitisation. My colleagues here have alluded to a number of reasons. Cycle times are long in transport. Planning is a constraint, and we have to be very, very careful about investment. But at the same time, the state of the art is changing very, very quickly. I think both Simon and David have alluded to their businesses being quite complex ecosystems of suppliers. I think, David, you said that of the 76,000 people who work at Heathrow, 6,000 of those work for Heathrow Airport Limited. And similarly at TfL, I think garnering the power of the ecosystem, making sure that those businesses collaborate on a digital journey, making sure that the data is available to allow those businesses that contribute to the transport sector in this complex environment. That's what we need to do to make sure that digitisation catches up with other industries.
We're almost out of time. I'm being waved at by the production guys here. Final question. Some of your colleagues and peers will be looking at this. What single piece of advice have you got for them to help them on their digital journey?
Oh, I think don't be frightened, but I think very much focus on the customer. Make sure that the customer is first, last, and all the way stages through your project, and we'll be fine.
David?
Don't be afraid to let go, and make sure you've got your business and operational change lined up with what you're changing from a digital perspective.
Brilliant insight, gentlemen. Thank you very much for your time. Really appreciate you joining us. Hopefully that sparked some interest back home. If you've got questions for any of the people we've spoken to today, drop us a note over social and we will get your questions answered. Thanks for watching.